life you truly want. Experience the Genna Effect. I'm Vincent Genna, psychic therapist, medium, and spiritual teacher. Become unstoppable. Learn the secret that's holding you back. Hey everyone, welcome to the Genna Effect, Become Unstoppable. I am your host, psychic therapist, spiritual teacher, medium, and author of The Secret That's Holding You Back. And you know I always like to bring to you some very special, powerful, and empowering shows. Well, this is not going to be any different, okay? So I have to tell you how I came across the special guest that I have on today. You know that there is a lot of darkness going on in the world today, and I've spoken about that, how to deal with it, how to get through it, how to empower yourself and turbocharge your manifesting so that you can go beyond the challenges and the crises that are going on around you, okay, and in your own personal life. Well, the universe tends to conspire to help us in every way that it can. And our souls and your souls are part of that universal conspiracy. And so what happens is every so often a light will come into the world, a necessary light, because if you think about it and you know that light is what takes away darkness. And it doesn't have to be a ton of lights. It has to be enough critical mass of lights. They have to be powerful lights. And these lights are going to reach all sorts of people. They're going to come in all different shapes and sizes and backgrounds, right? They may not always look like your typical light, your typical luminary, especially today. All of those contemporary luminaries that are out there, the Marianne Williamsons, Neil Donald Walsh, right? All of them, Deepak Chopra, and I can go on and on and on. And they all seem like the older, wiser, you know, some of them may even have white hair, you know, or streaks of white, maybe not pure white, because they're going in the direction of trying to become wiser. Who knows? I don't know. But what they do have is an understanding, and that understanding that they are trying to share with you is to help wake up all of the wisdom and knowledge that's in you, because it's in each and every one of us. So recently, just being out there, actually, I was on TikTok, and there's not a lot of older folk like me on TikTok, but I absolutely love it. I got all these recipes from the Italian cook, you know, Grandma Nina, you know, who's out there, and I got my new lasagna recipe from her. And as I'm happening through that, all of a sudden, I come across this young, very good-looking, tattooed gentleman who would not be in my repertoire of music or watching at all, but something grabbed me to him right away, and I'm listening to him sing this one song, and it happens to be about money, and he wrote it. And it's all about manifesting. And then all of a sudden, I listen to another song that he wrote, and it's all about loving yourself and believing in yourself. And I'm saying, shit, this is an incredible young light. And I kept following him, and I was looking into I went onto his website. I'm listening to all the songs. I'm even watching some of his live reels when he's talking with his friend, his manager, and they're talking about these deep spiritual concepts. And he's repeating concepts that not only have I taught, but are in my book. And that told me, I said, this is Vince. You have been directed to and to bring out into the public a new light. You know, the Jews were waiting for the Messiah all their life. The Christians now are waiting for the coming again of Christ. And what none of them understand, and what you have to understand, is those are all personal experiences, not just global experiences, to wake up the wisdom that's inside of you already. And so there are going to be those coming into the world to help you wake that up. And if we can start with the younger generation, man, oh man, they're going to take care of all the nonsense that the old generation messed up with. And so without any further ado, I got to introduce this guy who has an incredible name to start with, Abel Hart. Whoa. Abel, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule there in your writing. I don't want to take away any time of your writing because of everything that you're coming up with. Welcome to the Genna Effect. Thank you for taking this time out. I really appreciate it.
Well, I mean, I seriously appreciate it. And that was that might have been, and I watch a lot of interviews, and I'm not for tooting horns, but that might have been the best intro I've ever heard anywhere. I'm dead serious. I would not. I'm not just about tooting horns. Like, so fluent, so there, so together, so concise, so you know what you're talking about and what you're trying to put out there. Like, phenomenal. And again, I'm not saying it, but I appreciate it, and I love being able to and having the opportunity to have these conversations, because, as it sounds like you two are as well, so into this stuff, can't help myself talk about this stuff and know how much it's impacted my life and changed my life. That I just want to share and continuously talk about it in hopes that it resonates and connects with someone else, you know?
Oh, I know it's going to resonate with people, and that's what I absolutely want to share, and that's why I have you here, not just to sing your praises, but you to sing your understanding. You do it in song, and you also do it in verse. And I don't know if you've ever been told or even compared to a Messiah or a messenger, but I got to tell you something, buddy. That is something about you that maybe your soul is letting you know a little piece at a time, but you are absolutely a messenger here, and it comes in all forms, like I said, and you've got this beautiful look about you, and that package isn't for you because you don't stand in front of a mirror all the time like I do. Well, I have to be, you know, with hair like this, I'm always standing in front of the flipping mirror, right? But that package is for everybody else because it drew me into wanting to hear what you have to say, and everything you have to say is so beautiful. So what I'd like to do, if we can, I want to go to the beginning part because people have to know you weren't always a musician. What I know about you is that you were a U.S. Olympic snowboarder. Is that correct?
So the goal before my injury, long story short, but also going all the way back there, you're correct. I snowboarded. That was my whole life, and the goal was the Olympics, and I was on path to it, and that's what it was. And it'd be a shorter list to tell you all the bones that I haven't broken to date, but my back put me out. So before all of that, I fractured my lower back, and that put me pretty much out of that, I guess you could say, business, that career choice. And yeah, it just wound me. I was very lost. You know, when you're so young, and that's your, mind you, I didn't think as deep as I do now or have the understanding that I do now. But right. When, like, that was my everything. That's what I was going to do the rest of my life. If I could have called it, I could have, just because I was so passionate, it felt like it was my purpose and I loved it so much, I could have just lived in a little hut on the mountain as long as I got to snowboard every single day. You know, that could have been my life, and I would have been completely in bliss and happiness and content. Like, I would have loved it. But the universe had different, you know, looking back now, I say it's the best thing that never happened for me.
Well, we'll talk about that as far as the universe deciding this for you, which, if we believe in manifesting, then we know we're in 100% the control of it. So we'll talk about why it's possible you manifested that, but could you tell me, you said you were lost. Yeah. And so what did lost look like?
So after my injury, I pretty much say I was so lost that I just didn't. I say I get the case of the efforts. I lost what I love most in this world at such a young age. That was my purpose, my passion, what I felt like I was put on planet Earth here to do, and it was taken away from me. So I got thrown back into pretty much normal schooling system, normal just public high school, and I lost what I, loved most, and I didn't want to do anything else. Very, very not pessimistic, maybe a little bit, but very lack mentality. Well, if I can't do this, I don't want to do anything else. There's nothing else out there in the world that I want to be a part of and I want to do. That was my everything, and it was taken away from me. So I'm just whatever. I live, and I became involved with the wrong people, places, and things, and wrapped up in a lot of things. So that's what it was. And in the 27 Club, if anyone knows what that is, I was aware of that back then, and I was like, that's just where I'm going to be. Very, very morbid, a little bit morbid thinking, but that's how internally hurt I was, essentially.
Oh, sure.
But
would you say you were severely depressed as well? I mean,
yeah.
I'm a psychotherapist myself.
Yeah. Yeah, extremely depressed and lost, and felt no purpose and confused. Just what's the point of any of it?
What did you wind up doing to help yourself with that? And I don't mean you going into the new career yet, but there's always some kind of either self-medicating or distraction that we get involved in when we are like that. Did you go for counseling? Did you deal with this all by yourself? How did you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, my story was definitely self-medicating. Just and I was so against it because for training and snowboarding in the Olympics, it's very, you do this, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't, So jumping into the schooling system, I even when kids were doing that stuff, I was like, no. In my head, for some reason, maybe it was like the coaches or the trainers, but they were like, I just thought I was going to like die. If I took one thing or did one thing or took one sip, I was going to, but then throw it into the normal schooling system. Like there was visual proof that like everyone was doing that and it wasn't a thing. I still didn't want to do it. And then I was a bit not enticed, but whatever. Someone was there like, trust me, you have to try this. It will change. Like whatever you feel like, it will make your life 10 times better. Mind you, they were just ignorant to the concept. Right. But yeah, but it what it really did, because and this is a touchy topic, but in my experience, I would say, drugs aren't it could be drugs, gambling, shopping, sex. It could be whatever, right? Most of us have that thing, that void, and it's really not the problem. Societally, I feel like it'll tell you it's the problem. Like you have a problem with X, right? But what it really is, and hear me out through this whole sentence, but what it really is a solution. Now, it's a temporary solution to a permanent problem being a spiritual malady being a void, a lack that you're feeling on the inside that you're looking to fulfill externally. So you're trying to fill this, shopping, gambling, drugs, sex, whatever it may be, and you're trying to fill it. But the thing is, it's a temporary solution. So it's not sustainable. And there's a peak level to it, and there's a shelf life, right? Because it's never as the first time. But I will say, and I do say that because, and I'm not condoning anyone going down that route if they're feeling bad, but if it wasn't for that, I definitely wouldn't be here. I don't know what I would have done with my own, I don't know, but that's my story, and I definitely don't condone it. The point is, and why I talk about these things so much, is so that people don't have to go through that. It's like, these are the paths that I wish I knew that I didn't, because I'm not like even looking back then, I wish I didn't have to go through it. I wasn't like, oh, thank God I had a vice mechanism, like I wish I'd never had to do any of that stuff. It made my life drastically worse over and over and over and over. Just next rock bottom,
right.
Next rock bottom.
Of course it does. Of course it does. Having been a psychotherapist, I have dealt with many, many, many clients that were in that condition and position, because when your dreams are dashed, your self-value and worth is also taken away, because you see yourself, you defined yourself as a snowboarder, an Olympic possible snowboarder with a gold medal, with a silver medal, with a bronze medal in front of you. All right, I did the same thing. I thought I was supposed to be a superstar as an actor because I was very talented as a singer, actor, and dancer, and I was looking towards the Oscar, the Emmy, and the Tony. Same kind of condition, and that was torn away from me. And yes, can you turn to some kind of vice that is destructive? It is self-destructive, and you are fortunate that you didn't go as far that it damaged you permanently, or you're not here anymore, because it could have done that. So that's interesting. However, there was something else that happened to you then that turned that whole thing around. And this is the important part. And I want, before we get to the really good, juicy part, have you ever seen a statue sculptor sculpt, an artist who sculpts statues? Did you ever watch them sculpt a statue at all, Abel?
As far as like rock, where they're just little by little by little.
Stone, when they're hammering away at it, did you ever stand there and watch them?
I'm not in person, no, but I have
Not
seen.
in person, right? And neither have I. But just so that you know, it is such a mess. When Michelangelo was sculpting his statues, he had to wear a bandana around his nose and mouth because the powder he would inhale it into his lungs. Shards of marble would shoot into his eye, so he would have some temporary blindness from it. And all those shards are everywhere, all over the place. And at the end of all of it, what do we wind up with?
Yep.
An absolutely incredible, gorgeous statue. And I kind of feel, and I said this earlier, the messengers that I know, all of them today, went through some kind of trauma in their lives and crisis in their lives and dreams dashed in their lives and torment in their lives, some way or another. And all of a sudden, it produced an incredible statue. So that's what I want to talk about, the incredible statue. What and saved you, and how did you get there?
Yeah, so after years of being wrapped up in, like I said earlier, the wrong people, places, and things, after coming back home from like getting sent away somewhere, for the first time, I met someone out. I was in California at the time, and I came back, and they were like, if you're ever out in New York, like, hit me up. And in my head, the wrong people, places, and things, I was just very homebody. I did this and did all the bad, negative things, right? And just self-deprecating, like just feeling that. I never went out. I never ventured. Yes, for traveling, for snowboarding, but I was competing, right? So it was the first time, to answer your question, in my whole life that I was like, I don't want to go back to doing all those things. I need to do something different. I was like, I just need to do something different that I've never done before. And so it was taking up that person on their offer. And then when I got back, I was like, bro, like, I just need to, like, I'm down to do whatever, like, I'll meet you wherever. And that so happened to be for me doing that one thing that was different that I never wanted to do before, mind you. That's where I went to my first like music club experience. And I say it more so, music more so serendipitously found me. It's like a fortunate accident because I was still in the bad place mentality. I wasn't there essentially for the right reasons. I just wanted to get out and do something different and experience something that I never had before. And I got there, and it was a club. It was called Pasha. It's not there anymore. But the first time I experienced that, I just walked in, and the energy, really what it was the energy. I wasn't aware of it at the time. But this is way before house music was commercial. And you just bump into someone, and where I'm from, like if you bump into someone, it's an issue, right? Yeah. So, but this, and mind you, it's still New York. Everyone, you bump into someone, be like, oh, hey, like, and I've never dealt with that before in my life. And everyone just it was an experience I never had. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what it is. And the music as well. Like, I love house music. I was just like, I don't know what it is in this industry. I just want to do whatever this is. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what if I made music? And this is like the internal thought process that I'm having, Never thought of this before. Mind you, my dad is a musician, and I grew up with him being a musician my whole life. Wow. I've never thought. Sometimes when things are so close to you in front of your face, you tend to neglect that they're even there, a possibility, right? So I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what, if I could make music, and then if I could make people like how I'm feeling right now, if I could do that and make that, and then make other people feel that way, oh my gosh! Because you ever hear that song that maybe you and your buddies or your family or someone, a song or a movie you watch for the first time and it has an impact on you. What do you want to do?
You call everybody. You see, that's what you said that I say all the time. You call somebody else to come and listen to it.
Yeah, So that's essentially, it's exactly how it was for me. I was just like, I just want to put other people on, if I could do this. Because that feeling I had was unlike anything I've ever had.
That's the part that pulled me in even more so, because you're absolutely right. I tell people all the time, see, when you take care of yourself, you also want to take care of others, because it felt so good doing it for yourself. You want to share that. I say it's just like watching a movie. And I just went through that experience, and friends of mine, they saw a movie. They called my wife and I and say, you got to see this movie. And when you go, can we go with you? because we want to watch it again with you, because not only did they get the enjoyment themselves of seeing the movie, but then they got the enjoyment of watching us enjoying it. And they had double the effect, right? And that goes with everything in life. So when you said that, I flipped. Okay, all right, okay. So you started getting involved in this music, but you went much further with it than just writing a song. Tell me about that piece, and tell me how you got into this manifesting idea.
Yeah. I mean, I started out producing first. Like Abel Hart wasn't a project full body. I definitely produced for a good amount of years, and I never sang and I never wrote because those were big insecurities and fears that I had in my life. I was like, I'm just going to produce. I don't really have to do anything, and I could pretty much not be behind the scenes, but if I want to DJ or whatever as well, but I don't, because my dad sings and does all that. I'm like, just too insecure. What are people going to think? What are they going to say? And we could get into the topics later about, once you face your fears, and it's everything behind on the other side of your fears, and the unknown is a life beyond your wildest dreams, always in my experience. And so I started producing. I did that. I picked that up. I learned everything. You have YouTube Academy and Google University, learned it. I became obsessed. Obsessed. It definitely, at first, for a long time, I switched one thing for another. Like I switched all the bad habits that I had for then pretty much workaholism, and and which I learned later. I was just like, no, this is mind you, that's awesome. Like if you can find something that eventually you learn how to tame, right? Jordan Peterson has a quote that's like, become a monster and then learn how to tame it. Learn how to tame it is like this whole last year that I've been in, because I'm just like, just go, do this, knock this out. And that's where all this music came from, was just like, let go. I don't need to let go and just be in the flow, and which is nuts because so much more. And I feel like I'm doing way less, but like there's way more happening because of it, and that's just how it was. It's just like, because I'm living in the feeling, it's the feeling like of the manifested already manifested,
Hey, no. So don't tell me so you're saying that understanding just came to you? Was there a book? Did you study somewhere? What happened to allow that understanding, and it is a truth, to come to you, Abel?
That's a great question. Research, just like I looked at it the same way. And then when I got into the Abel Hart project, I was like, okay, if I were to do one thing, because I went back and forth because I didn't keep it balanced, and I just turned it into like workaholism. I became obsessed. I had an uneven, I would hit a ceiling and then go down, wrong people, places, thing. We'll go back to making music nonstop, never sleeping, back down, people, places, things. I kept bouncing around. And what made me, I was just like, I'm just going to face this fear. So if I were to do anything, I moved out to California, lived on my sister's kitchen floor. It's the first time I lived anywhere outside of the house. And I was grateful that she was there and she let me sleep on the kitchen floor. She's amazing. And I was like, if I were to do anything, like this is so life or death for me. That's just how I looked at it. And I looked at a lot of things back then, very black and white. I'm going to do it or not. No excuses. I don't know if you know who David Goggins is, but very much like that.
No, but I've heard of others that say the same concept. So I do know.
Yeah, very, very military mentality, mind you.
Yes.
That's pretty much like that. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to learn everything. So I just did the same thing. How do you sing on YouTube? And just did videos every single day. But the most important thing I need to do, knowing everything that I just went through, starting this project, is I need to put my self first, all the things. So my daily routine, taking care of myself, being in nature, health, is a big one for me. Being out in nature and eating well and going to the gym and just taking care of myself, my body, my mind, all of these things, right? They need to be a big part of my routine. And after doing that for a while, you start to see shifts, but it's not as much as I would love to be like, it's an overnight thing. I feel like everyone would love that to be a thing, It's just,
of course, yes. Yeah.
But that's where the meat is. Yeah, that's where the meat is, that's like the journey of all of this and the evolution of all of this. And if we could be so much just kinder to ourselves, right? And understand that, because if you think about it, you said it before, and a lot of things that I talk about is it's really like putting other people on. Like I actually am getting so much from having conversations like this. And then even if I don't immediately see the change in someone, or it's not like a bright-eyed, open, oh my gosh, this new perspective, I've never known it before. It doesn't even have to be that big of a thing. I get so much from it. So it's really the most selfless way of being selfish, right? But yet we spend as human beings so much time talking about people, places, and things and what's going on, but we neglect a lot of that self-love and time that we should be spending on ourselves in a selfish way. And that shouldn't be a bad thing, you know?
I can't believe you're saying that. That is such, and I know you did not read every single book that is out there. I have been doing this for 40 years, and I have read so many of those books. Neil Donald Walsh is a very famous metaphysical spiritual author, and he wrote many books, but his first three most famous books are called Conversations with God. And in book one, God specifically says, I wish all of you were 100% selfish down there. That's what he says. You just quoted what God said to Neil, all right? This is why I'm putting you on a pedestal, my friend. And it's not just a pedestal that's up here. It's a pedestal that other people need to listen to you about. So he said, the reason why I need you to be selfish, because if you take care of yourself, you will love that so much that you will automatically want to extend it onto others. But it's the fake selfishness that we always say, oh, that person is selfish. He's only thinking about himself. But he's not. He's actually compensating with defense mechanisms. When you really think about yourself, you do what you're doing. And that's what's so important, what I needed. You said so many things that I can't even go back to them anymore. But there is one thing you said that I want to give you a different view of. And it's the word fear.
Okay.
All right. There is no such thing as the fear of the unknown. Think about this for a moment. If we feared the unknown, would a 2-year-old child walk out into the middle of the street when it first starts learning to walk, not knowing it could get hit by a car, right? It does that.
Yeah.
We have to teach it the possibility of what could happen. Therefore, we don't fear the unknown. We fear the possibility of the known. Even through some of the things that we've experienced in the past. So you know that people have made fools of themselves. I mean, yeah, watch American Idol, and you see some of those people who think that they're absolute incredible, you know, God's gift to the singing world, and they can't even carry a tune, right? And they want to believe that they're great singers, right? And so the rest of us look and go, oh, wait a minute, am I a singer like that? Oh, I don't want to be a singer like that. Why would we fear making a fool of ourselves in front of other people if we didn't know what the possible feeling was about making a fool of ourselves? Yeah. So we fear the known, okay?
Yeah, the known possibility, I guess you could say.
Yes, the known possibility. It's a possibility. It's not a definite. It's a possibility. And that's what we're walking away from, is those fears. But you jumped into that, you know, that world, and you even said it, bringing into this world what is already created out there, and that's went with the music. Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead. You started writing the music, okay? You started writing your music, and I was listening to one of your videos where you were talking about frequency, and you actually used the concept of science to write some of your motivational manifesting songs. How did you come across that idea at all?
Yeah, great question. Well, I listened to, and first off, I want to say thank you for that switch of mindset, because what you're saying is so true, and I never thought of it like that. And the way you portrayed it and helped me understand that is so like crystal clear to me, and it's so obvious, and that is so true. We're so fearful of the known possibilities of things that we pretty much just create in our head that might possibly happen.
Yes.
Yeah. So I appreciate you voicing it that way, because that's definitely a mind shift for me, and a new topic of conversation that I'm sure I will continuously keep having, because that's a lot of things that I talk about as far as the unknown. But yes, how did I come into it? So I listen to frequencies at night. I've done it for years at this point. Just affirming statements, right? Affirming statements and frequencies, paired with like abundance or happiness, self-love, whatever it is, right? There's tons of them. And for anybody out there, just go to Google and just type in, nighttime success affirmations or nighttime abundance whatever you're into or trying to attract into your life or just feel more of. It's on there. It's on the internets. We have it. We live in the best time in the age. But I listen to it, and I've listened to it forever. And jumping into like more of, I guess, sonically, in parallel to most of the stuff that I put out prior, jumping into the hip hop space, I never wanted to do it again because I was so fearful of the known possibility that people might judge me for it. I added it in there. The known possibility that people might judge me for it. Well, I'm normally blonde hair, blue-eyed kid. And like, I'm going to do hip hop. I just went from singing falsetto to like, so what are people going to say? Is this thing like, should I do it? Right. And I create these, it's really just valid excuses in my head. Yes, it's valid because that's a possibility that might happen. And like, like that's what I do for a living. So there's definitely going to be judgment, but is that going to hold me back? And then I had a conversation with my manager, Chaz, who you know and spoke with. And he's like, bro, all you talk about when you probably should be talking about music is life, and all the things that have helped you and things that you just are so passionate about. What if you didn't do it in like the corny way that you're making up that might be, and we just like talk about all the stuff like in hip hop, because like you can't really sing stuff like that. You can't, there's some things you realize, like just being a writer, some things look great on paper. You're like, oh my gosh, that is the best line, the best bar you'll ever see. But then you go to sing it, like actually sing it. It doesn't even make sense. Doesn't sound good. So it's like, but you have more play with that in that hip hop space because you could say things pretty much how you want to say them. Right.
Yes.
Just with melody. So I was like, okay, that was a valid, positive excuse that allowed me to attempt it. I was like, okay.
That was great.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like I just came up with a positive excuse where the negative excuses were hold me back, right, in life. And that's how it started. And I started doing affirming statements, which came from the nighttime thing that I first prefaced. Like that was what I listened to. It was like I listened to affirming statements. What if I just started doing all these things like positive, like self-love, a lot of things that I'm saying it to myself, but knowing the listener, if they're going to repeat it, they're also saying it to themselves. Because I could have been like, you love yourself, you're this way. And I could have been like, you're worth it, like in the words that I use. But if you think about a listener, they're repeating the words. If you're saying they're projecting that to the next person. And then forever it's a circle and it never goes to anyone individually.
Yes, I love it. And all your songs you're singing are about you. I. Yeah. And it's so funny because everybody thinks that that's narcissistic, and nobody understands that narcissism has nothing to do with accepting your beauty, your magnificence, your wonder. And you sing about that too. Is it okay if we take just one moment? I've got to show them a quick clip of one of the TikTok songs, TikTok. I'm carrying them around all over the place. And it's being 68 years old, you're not used to saying TikTok, and you certainly don't want to hear that TikTok at my age, right? So it's TikTok. I say TikTok. But here is the video of you that I saw that does exactly that. You use a specific frequency for this song that everybody needs to play and sing with. I am telling you right now, as crazy as that sounds, just listen to this.
I'm manifesting all things good. Money coming to me, money running through me. Tuned into the frequency, the bass, keep it booming. Feeling superhuman, I ain't never losing. Money coming to me in abundance, keep it moving. I'm manifesting all things good. Money coming to me, money running through me. Tuned into the frequency, the bass, keep it booming. Feeling superhuman, I ain't never losing. Money coming to me in abundance, keep it moving.
Man, oh man, I can keep playing that over, and I do keep playing that over and over again right there. I'm saying that because that is the frequency that vibrates with you. And like you said, which I love, You found a genre of music that makes sense to be able to put that to. We can get those cards and affirmation decks all over the place, and we can say them. But the most important thing that you say and you do with the music is help us to feel them. Now, there's something that I need to say about you that is different than most people. All right. That song and singing it over and over again will be absolutely meaningless and have absolutely no power unless you do one thing. And that's what my book is all about. The fact is that most people don't believe what they think they believe. And that's why they're not manifesting. They're going and they're listening to all this stuff, taking classes, reading books. They're not manifesting. The one thing that makes that song work, that worked for you, was believing it. Believing in the words, believing in yourself. And there's where the power of manifesting comes in. If you say it and consciously, but don't believe it unconsciously and deep in your heart, nothing happens. So tell me then, you manifested from your belief in that. How did that turn out for you?
Yeah, so my intention, again, was purely because, like we spoke on earlier, when you feel this, you just want to put other people on it, right? It's really like the selfish thing, you know, but you're selfishly doing it. It's just, it's amazing. And I didn't realize my whole intention was I just wanted to put other people on this wave. You know, I just want to put other people on this so then they can change and affect their life. And then in parallel with all the things that I talk about on social media, like then they could start to have that belief, like you spoke on. But like I already believe this. Really, it's a blind faith thing for me. You know, it's like it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, right? And the universe, the world, always presents it at a better time than you could possibly imagine. So why am I going to sit there and try and pinpoint this is, well, it didn't happen by this or that? Like I'm so open and letting go, because I know on the other side of all of that is always bigger than I could have possibly imagined. So I didn't realize that I've made the song, obviously. So I sit there, I mix, master, produce, sound design, engineer, sing, and I write it, right? I've heard it how many times you think as a creative? Over and over. My intention, again, was just to make it and then put other people on it. But I'm doing it to myself. And then within doing that to myself, all this stuff just happened. Just the next thing. Or you're talking about monetary values, just life, happiness, relation, like everything. Just boop, 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 boop. And I'm just like, and I didn't even realize it until I'm still having this conversation. I'm just like trying to like not convince people, but just like trying to get it out there as much as possible. Be like, trust me, like it works, you know? And then I feel like someone said it in the comment or something, or maybe I was talking to Chaz. And it was like, because you did it, like then all this happened. I was like, oh my gosh, like, and I already knew this concept, but that wasn't even my intention. My intention was so selfless, you know, that it really selfishly returned in some manner. It's wild. It's amazing, but that's what happened. That's, to answer your question, what happened.
That is not wild, and that is not amazing. It's natural, and it's exactly what we're all capable of doing. It wasn't until a friend of mine who used to be my enemy when I was a kid, who tormented me through my entire career at school until I was 17 years old, who became a dear friend of mine after our 10-year reunion. His life was falling apart. And it wasn't until I cried out to God, begging Spirit to give me some kind of ability to help him and others like him, because I was tormented in my life and he wasn't turning to anybody or talking to anybody. And it was within weeks the Steven Spielberg movie happened to my life. It was crazy, all this paranormal stuff that went on, and I got these psychic and paranormal abilities, and that's what I began to use to help people believe in themselves, including him. So it was that selfless wanting to put it out there. But this is what I need to get to have you say, because I know it about me, and all my listeners have heard this. And I hope, listeners, you're listening to this young guy in what he's saying, this 32-year-old guy. Now, I got to tell you something. There was nothing blind about it. You know, when I just taught you about fear, well, I'm going to teach you about another word, blind. There is nothing blind about anything within sight of us because we were created with all wisdom, all knowledge, everything. Remember, we were created in its likeness, which means we have everything it has. Spirit has, the master, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. The universal energy, doesn't matter. It's all within sight of us, and you allowed it to wake up, and what helped to wake it up is your crisis. And you add what is called, I don't know if you're familiar with the International Association of Near-Death Studies. It's an organization for people who had near-death experiences and the phenomena that occurred to them afterwards. I am considered to having had a spiritual transformative event, which is considered like a near-death experience because it completely transformed my life. You had the same thing, my friend. You went through that and you awakened what was within you. But the most important part is you allowed it to awaken. Blind, nothing blind about it. You just didn't see it. You were following it naturally. That's what you're saying. I just naturally believed in this. My God, if people get to that, it would be amazing for them. Okay. I got to ask you an important question that I'm just going in this direction purposely for.
Yeah.
You're putting it out there. You kept saying that over and over. I just wanted to put it out there. And I know one of the reasons we said is because, well, it makes me feel so good to put it out there. Why do you give a shit about others?
I feel like it's the same. Like, truthfully, I feel like it's the same thing. I don't know, but I don't know. That's really a good question when you actually just phrase it simply like that. Why do you give a shit about others?
Why do you give a shit if they take it? Why do you care if they're going to go along with it? As long as you get it, maybe some friends or family members that you're helping, but why do you care? And by the way, you don't just put it out there. You are begging them to try this. I've listened to some of your talk. Please, you got to try this. You got in your energy. You got to do this. You got to believe me. You just got to. It is so important and vital to you. Why? Why give a damn?
Because I feel, and everyone does have a different situation, but I feel I know what it's like from my experience that I also believe that so many other people have or are going through. I know what that feeling, completely opposite of how I feel now, is like. And I know that I just wish, and there were people in my life that I heard the things that I'm now speaking on that changed my perspective on life, right? So it's that's a huge part. It's just like, damn, like I know what that's like, right? And then it's a touchy subject sometimes because people are like, you don't even know what I'm going through. You don't know, no one else knows. But that's also the mentality that holds you back the most. Because I went through that, I was like, you don't know. And we think our situation when we're having that in that negative spot in that place is so bad and no one else knows, has any idea what we're going through. For one, I like to say, you're not alone. Yes, we all have different parts and stories within each chapter of the journey of our life. Right. But like if we just related to each other more and had more things that we'd be like, oh, if I just took this, and that's what changed my life. I pretend like I was so different and no one would be able to tell me how to fix my shit. I stopped doing that and started listening to things that I saw helped others and worked for others. But hopefully that answers your question. Like that paired with, obviously, it's like how much I get from it. Like I just want to put other people on because I can't help myself.
I know you can't help yourself. And here's the funny thing about it. Yes, you're answering part of the question, but you're not fully answering it because I don't think you've taken the time to recognize it, which is the most important thing for us to recognize. You care about them.
Ooh.
You care about them. You love them. And you might not see them as your biological brothers and sisters, but I've come through all these years, and this is the part that I want to help you with. You wouldn't be doing any of this shit if you didn't give a damn about them. And we care about each other. What you're seeing, all the breakup in the world and all the killing and all the outlashing and the rage that's going on about there, and even the Cain and Abel story, which, by the way, Abel means breath in the Old Testament. It's why He was named that. It's a breath of fresh air, of new life, a new understanding. And the whole reason why they're acting that way is because they feel like Cain. They feel neglected. They feel abandoned. They feel like nobody cares. And you're coming on at 32 years old and saying, I effing care about you. And this is what I want to give you. Do you understand that that's a Messiah, that's a messenger, that's a savior? Do you understand that? I know I'm throwing that all at you, man, and you never wanted to look at yourself in that way, but I look at you like that because I am so honored and proud that I was directed to you, another light like that that cares so much.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to unpack. I do appreciate it. I'm at the point where like I can now say thank you. I couldn't stand compliments for a big part of my life. Like,
I understand that.
Yeah, I never wanted to hear it. I didn't want to think that way. I was like, don't think. But I do appreciate that. Do I think of myself? I mean, I've never heard that before. I just feel that I'm being led. You know, like that's all I feel.
Yeah, you are being led. You're being led by your soul.
Hey, if that's the case, I'm all for it, and I believe you. You know,
and go for it.
I'm all for it, and that's what I'm, most passionate about, and I just want to put out. And you said it best. I mean, and I'm very surprised that I didn't implement that into what I said. Because that's usually what I do say, as far as I give a shit, and it's that simple. That's usually my talking topic, except I can't curse on social media, so I always try and change different words. But I feel like shit is the most. I give a shit.
Shit we can say. We can say shit. You can say shit. And you give a shit so much, I want to show something else right now, if you don't mind, okay? I want to show this other piece that you have on your website here. It's this one, okay? It's the whole thing about the Full of Heart fam. Can you talk about why you have this and what it's for?
Yeah, definitely. It was super important. So obviously, yes, us, Chaz as well, my manager, is kind of like coming up with ideas, because at the end of the day, I do, especially recently within the last year or so, I've been talking so much about this stuff, and then having the music to go hand in hand with it. It was like, at the end of the day, as a creative, anyone that's putting things on social media, at the end of the day, everyone is at the algorithm's whim, right? Everyone, I could be like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever said, and this is going to help so many people, or at least I hope. But then the algorithm's like, I don't think so. It's like, I don't think it's going to happen. And that's out of my control, right? So it's like, okay, how can I take things back into control to help positively affect other people's lives? And it was like, well, what if we just created a community full of everything from top down, music, life, topics of conversation, and then also giveaways, which is a huge part of it. We also anything that we could archive, because I do a lot of lives, TikTok lives, Instagram, but we can't put sometimes 2-hour long lives anywhere. It's too long, but it's a big question we get. It's like, all those things you were talking about, I showed up at the last minute and I wish I would have heard it, so it's all come down to this moment with so many things that you pick up, because I listen, I read the comments, I respond to the comments. I don't we don't have a hired team that just fakes comments, and that's because that's super important to me. Like you said earlier, I care, and I genuinely want to know what people are interested in, curious about, and want to be a part of, right? So it's like, okay, if I know that, and then pair that with the fact that it's at the algorithm's whim, what if we built a community from all like-minded people, whether it's just you're there for music, or, chances are now, if you're there for the music, you're also very curious, interested, or already into this wave of topic of conversation, right? So if we could just put that, then anything that I put out, you will always see, always. Where it's not like, oh, this one thing got a couple thousand, where it should have reached, I wish it reached millions, right? And it's and then not just that, then you have a community of people that are also on that wave, and then can go back and forth and correspond with each other, that are also helping uplift and bring everyone. It's like everything is just, it was just all positive. Everything would just made so much sense to do that. And so that's why this is very recent that we started to do that.
Wow. And it's excellent. And let me tell you something. Look, I pride myself in having a very wide range demographic in all my teachings and the works that I do, whether I'm doing readings or whether I'm doing lectures. I have 50% men, 50% women. And I've actually gone all the way from 18 years old to 100 years old. But
Wow.
obviously, the major part of my demographics is going to be that mid-age range that I'm going to be able to reach and that they're going to come to me. You, on the other hand, are reaching some of the most important demographics that we have. It's the new generations. It's the people that can make the changes in the world. Now, obviously, we all can, right? You and I know that in our manifesting. But the ones that are going to take the place of us, because we're starting to, could just knock us off the top of the list as to who's here or not, it's the rest of you. And you are reaching them in a way that they are capable of listening to. That's what I said earlier when I introduced you, that there are going to be different types of messengers coming into the world and trying to open up that within you that is already there. And so that's why this is so important and so vital. You even have a masterclass. If you go to your website, which is ableheart.co, C-O, not C-O-M, ableheart.co, everybody go there. You have a masterclass that you even teach. Holy cow. I mean, I say classes. I don't even know if I could say masterclass. And I want to take your class.
Yeah, So, I appreciate you shouting out ableheart.co as well, because that's where I feel like it first started, and maybe branched the idea in parallel of building something completely different and all-inclusive, exclusive, really. And yeah, masterclass. That's where the whole how can I really connect with people. Like actually, right? Just even off platform, people that are genuinely curious, and I could get really down into the specifics, and the intricacies of like the individual situation that individuals are going through. And that's where that started, and it's been, I'm super grateful, to be able to have those conversations with people. And again, I love doing this. I do care. The way it affects me, there's no proper word that you could put to it. So
no, you don't have to put the words to it. I understand it. And anybody who is out there is nothing greater than touching another human soul. We can touch their hearts easily. And that's what I'm talking about with you. The music can touch a heart, anybody's music. We got plenty of singers out there, right? All Grammy Award-winning artists. The Grammys are coming up this weekend, and so they're going to be out there. And we're going to see all of these wonderful musicians, right? That touch hearts, but there's not a lot that can touch souls. And that's what I believe you're doing in order to help wake them up, as you're touching souls. And there is nothing like that when you touch another human soul. That's why I speak. That's why I do the work I do. So I get it. I get it from you, man. And you got to keep going, which is what is amazing about who you are. And you talked about algorithms, and I want everybody to know how much you reach somebody. You put the song Whisper out there, and you wound up getting in Spotify's top 50 and on TikTok top listens with over 200 million plays. 200 million plays of that song went completely viral, as I believe many of your songs are going to go. Talk about what that felt like and how you got Whisper out that reached so many people. What was in your mindset then?
I can't say disbelief, and I can't say surreal, as much as those are like the easy words to use, because again, it was never a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And then it's weird is the only word. I'm still trying to like find words, because I've been walking around here. I was just walking. I was just like, this is it. Like, I feel home. Like, and I don't even mean like, I mean, externally, internally, fulfilled, just in alignment. And there's no, like, outside of just verbalizing all the things that you feel, and there's no like one word, So my feeling it was weird. And I don't even, that word doesn't even categorize it in any sense. It's just so different. And again, it's always bigger and better than you could possibly imagine. And and it was also with the whisper thing. It was in the way I never wanted it to be. It was the two things, and why I didn't do TikTok, why I didn't do social media. I didn't want to take my shirt off, even though I talked to many people that would also wanted to help with marketing and put other stuff. So they're like, just freaking play the body card. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. I didn't want to take my shirt off, and I didn't want to lip sync, and I didn't want to dance. So there were three things, and I didn't want to dance. And that's how funny the universe is, right? That was all the three things that were my peak pivotal, like, I'm not going to do this specifically. I'll do it, but as long as I don't do these three things. And that's exactly how it happened. Bigger than I could imagine. And I was just more grateful, and it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, and you conquered the fear of the known possibility of being made fun of or being judged. But let me tell you something. I'm going to put you in a person's good company. And it may seem extreme, but stay with me because it's not as extreme as we think. When Jesus was awakened to his mission, and by the way, he came down here to teach us and remind us who we were, not who he was.
Yeah.
And he was told, and he remembered, oh my gosh, I got to do this thing now. And he walked through the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. There was no devil being there tempting him. That's only a story to make a point. The devil was his inner demons and fears of the possibilities of what could happen. The fear that people will laugh at him. The fear that he would misuse his power. The fear that now people are going to be thinking of him as being a different person in some way, or that he was going to make a mistake with that power. He faced his own inner demons, but he did it. And slowly he kept walking and talking, and he kept gathering. All right, Abel, you took your damn shirt off. The last time I take my shirt off is at the beach, and the only reason why I'll do that is because while we're at the beach, there are so many other guys with their shirts off. All the girls are looking at them, and I don't have to worry about anybody looking at me. And so you, on the other hand, I said the package is there, use it. And so you're using it. And what difference does it make if it's beauty? Didn't we just paint all of these beautiful pictures of all those luminaries out there and we made them look pretty? Well, you're already looking pretty. And so, why not? You're young. You're in the hip hop mode. There isn't an artist today. Go watch some of the concerts and the videos of the concerts. I don't even know who's keeping their clothes on anymore.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're totally right.
So now you did it, and you grabbed their view, and then you grabbed their ear. And so you did it in the way that you can, and you're doing it in the way that you can. So go for it. Those are your tools. Everybody has their tools in the way that they do their work. I'm a psychic. I'm a medium. I use those as tools. And I use that to bring out the word. You are just instilling inspiration and motivation for other people. With all the talk that I've done here, what else would you like to say that you would really like to get across? Because we're coming down to the end of the time for this podcast, but what would you really like people to understand and know at this point with all of that we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, that it's possible for you too. I think that's the most important thing, because you could hear, a lot of people hear stories and they're like, well, yeah, you could say that now. I get you went through some things, it's like, why do we always try and convince ourselves of the things that we want most in this life, like we're trying to convince ourselves to hold ourselves back of why it also can't be us. So what I would love to portray and hope that it resonates through is whoever is listening to this, all the things that we spoke about over this time period. I'm sure it sounds like a lot of things that you also, as well as me, talk about consistently. It is possible for you as it is me, it's just about implementing the steps and creating, that daily routine of consistently doing it. But it is totally possible. And you're also not alone on this journey. There's other people that have also gone through things. And there's tons of success stories in every facet. We're not just talking about monetary, right? Just tons of things. And we live in the best time and age, we do some research on it. So you're not alone. And all this too, is we're not the only ones, right? We could sit here and be like, we're not the only ones these things can happen to. It's true. It can happen to everyone else.
Oh, it's so, I mean, there's 8 billion people on the face of the earth. And one of the reasons why this is ancient wisdom is because it's worked. Knowledge that is true becomes wisdom. Knowledge that is untrue is just a whole bunch of bookstores with a whole bunch of books on the shelves that are meaningless.
Yeah.
This is truth because it's worked, and it's worked over the centuries and the millennials. It just thousands of years this has been going on, this understanding, but we're tapping into it now because we take a long time to tap into it. And Abel, I want look at the juxtaposition between you and me, this older guy here. You know what? I put on these bracelets so that I look a little bit younger, so maybe some young folk can relate to me, so I don't look like some old fogey going, I got some really good news to give you about life, you know? And then there's you at the other end of the spectrum in youth and beauty, and you got tattoos on. I don't have tattoos. I was always afraid of needles and pain. And so you got, and if God, when you take your shirt off, you see even more tattoos, right? And you've got that spectrum that we can reach other people. We're two, but we represent a broad range of all these humans here. And what we're trying to give them is the same message, that no matter where you are in this spectrum, you can manifest and you can create. That is the reason why I brought this young gentleman here who has spoken with such great wisdom and truth. You've seen it affected in your own life, Abel, with prosperity and abundance, because that's what we're capable of manifesting. Those words are in the Bible, just so that you know, and books of wisdom, ancient wisdom that have been written, the Urantia, all of them. You can read that it's okay to have abundance and that it's okay to ask for more abundance. There wouldn't be all the flavors of ice cream if we didn't ask, hey, this vanilla tastes really good. You think you could make any other flavors that would taste great too?
Yeah.
It's all there for us. Abel, I expect that you are continuing to create a whole bunch of different flavors of ice cream for yourself.
Oh yeah, baby. We haven't even started.
Right. What's next for you?
A little bit of that, you know, mixing it up. Definitely having more, trying to post more talking conversations and clips, promoting Full of Heart Fam or heartfam.com, and just putting out more music and on this wave, you know, as affirming statements, some frequency stuff, some upbeat house stuff, kind of how I said it started, but also implementing. Did we put it out? We're putting out so much music. I don't know if we just dropped it. Maybe it did just come out. But if not, it might be this week. But it's another like abundance song, but money, but hip hop, but house music. So it's like essentially this just all different types of genres. Wow. How can we switch it up and listen? Because if you like, I love rom-coms. I don't know why, but I love rom-coms. So if you think about, okay, there's a romantic comedy, then there's fully romantic, you know, and then there's the sensual, and then so there's all different categories within that subgenre, right? It's like, okay, if you could do that, and that's this one thing, it's love, you know, or in this case, frequency or abundance, then how can you make it in different genres? So that's where I'm trying to really branch to, because then you reach a different community or people that also like that stuff, and just it's a different version. So, but yeah, just consistently keep putting stuff out and continuously growing the platform and having more eyes be seen and blowing this up bigger than we could possibly imagine, right? Because that's what it's about, and I'm here for it, you know.
And you better be here for it, because there's a whole future for you about it. What about a live concert sometime?
Definitely, that's something that my manager and I went back and forth. I think what we're going to be doing next, and we've done it in the past, that has been amazing, is to reach a bunch of people as well, because people are all over. You know, it's like the internet all over the world. To be able to also have people to see in general has been virtual concerts. So we're definitely figuring out this next year, trying to implement putting them in more consistently and have some of them. But definitely maybe then in the future do some crazy live shows.
Oh, I can. This is a psychic reading for you, my friend. Uh-huh. I see that happening sooner than later. Keep thinking bigger than smaller.
Yeah.
And there is nothing like a live concert. Virtual is absolutely fabulous. Ever since coronavirus, actually, there has been more stuff put out into the world because of the internet and doing things online instead of in person.
Yeah.
However, in person always raises a greater energy as well. So I want you to think about that, because I would love to see you when you have your concert. I'm going to ask you a favor. Don't forget who I am, because I'm going to be that idiot old man in the front row jumping up and down, even though I don't know a lot about hip hop, but I certainly will know a lot about your songs. I'll be the fan there that'll be yelling the loudest, because I believe in you the most. And so just remember that when you see.
I will. We'll give you a ticket. We'll get you tickets. It'll be pumping.
Oh, my God. I don't even care about that, but I will be there for you. You'll be out there. And just so that you know, this is happening. This is a new realm of the way to get the lights out into the world. It starts online, virtually, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. There is another gentleman that I'm trying to get. His name is Matt Rife. He's a comedian. Absolutely incredible. His entire career started on TikTok, and now he's doing live worldwide tours, but he is spiritual minded. And in the middle of his comedy, he talks about the importance of loving yourself, manifesting. And I'm like, holy crap, this is a new age here. It's not all about these old guys writing New York Times best-selling books anymore. It's about you guys. It's about the way you're reaching people, and you're going to keep doing that, Abel. And you're going to be a great success, because you also are a beautiful, great person. You've got a giant heart, my friend. And if that had to come out through your experience from the past, then so be it. I thought I was supposed to be a professional actor. I'm doing this. You thought you were supposed to be an Olympic snowboarder, and you are going down and up heights that would be far further than that Olympic gold medal, my friend. And you are not just entertaining them. Oh, wow, look at how good he did as a snowboarder. You are changing their lives. How does that feel, to be able to change and transform a person's life?
Well, I feel like we're all put here on planet Earth, to help support each other and push each other forward. Wow.
Thank you so much for being here and taking the time out and listening to this old guy.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Seriously. Thank you, and everything that you're doing as well and putting out there into the world, because it definitely needs it. So I appreciate it.
I am definitely a fan, not just because of your music, but because of who you are. And everybody has to listen to this part too. There are a lot of people trying to do this work. But it's also said there will be those who look the part, who dress the part with golden garments, and are wealthy and carrying the most beautiful words and speaking the most beautiful words. But because they're not walking their talk, because their words are not ingrained in their hearts, everything they teach and everything they say falls by the wayside. I can assure you this, my friends who are listening and watching this today, anything that Abel says and does will never fall from the wayside, because he is walking his talk and dancing to his songs. And so everybody listen, come on back to the Genna Effect. I'm going to have more podcasts, but I hope you truly enjoyed this. And Abel, I hope I got you out into a world even more than what you're doing yourself, which is phenomenal. And I will keep doing that for you. And anytime you need anything, you just let me know, my friend, because I'll be there to support you, promote you, and do anything I can for you, because I believe in you. And I got to tell you this, I know the joy you have given your parents, because they, I know, have to be beaming with friggin' pride as to the person you are and that you have become. And that's all we want as parents. And I loved how you even included them into writing songs. That was great. That's fantastic. But they are beaming, my friend. And so is Spirit, just so that you know, because you are one of the proofs as to why life is continued here, because there's people like you coming along that give us hope. Thank you so much, Abel, for being here. I love you, man. And we'll talk again real soon. Bye-bye, everybody. For now, I'm Vincent Genna, and we'll talk again real soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.